moving forward, I think we're going to bring in Keith and talk about his promotion within the Pittsburgh organization. Mr. Wheeler, are you with us?
Yeah, I've been listening to everything you guys have been saying.
What's going on,
Uh,
Keith?
How you guys
yo.
doing? Hey, thanks for having me on, Eddie. I appreciate it.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So, season after season one in Pittsburgh, I mean, wasn't the most eventful season. No, but you guys fought. You came in under the gun. Where do you see improve? Where you can improve or help improve this Pittsburgh roster going into season two for you guys?
Well, we were a late call up. With the teams going up, with teams folding, we came up late with Chicago. Nashville and Albuquerque came up first, and we were hoping we come up and was last, and we really didn't have it. To be quite honest with you, our staff wasn't gelled yet.
Mm-hmm.
Corey and Butch, his owners, great guys, did work. We had Gino calling the offense. And then they brought myself and I believe it was Eric Price were the assistant GMs, but it was kind of like really trying to figure things out. My goal this off season was really starting to establish a vision with what we've got and a plan. I lean back on 25 plus years of high school coach football. I was athletic director of the junior high in a very small town that had a very limited budget. So it's like, okay, I'm kind of used to working with constraints. And so it was bringing in a vision to what we have. And luckily, Corey and Butch have allowed me to kind of instill this thought process into how we're looking at things, whether we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at free agents, whether we're looking at, I mean, I don't really do anything with the play calling, but I did bring in my experience of, hey, here's how we look at things. But I mean, everything we do now we basically have three questions that we ask ourselves as we progress through every week with our vision. And they're very simple. They're you can go find them. Any good coach does this. As a program, as a franchise, we don't refer to ourselves as a team. We're a franchise. We're going to be around for a while. There's teams, and then there's franchises, and franchises like Canton and Baltimore and Florida, and there's Minnesota. Those are franchises. Then there's teams. Teams come and go. Arizona is a franchise. So the idea is we want to be able to answer three questions every week, regardless of who we play or who we're bringing in as a free agent. And it's real simple: is how do we impose our will on the other team? How do we break their will? And then how do we win a football game? It took us a while to get 2 wins this year. No, we were close. We played Baltimore really, really well in week 12. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, lack of depth, literally, is how we looked at it. I mean, we had some great play calls. In fact, we led until the fourth quarter against Baltimore, they're a powerhouse. They're a legacy. They're ones everybody compares themselves to. So we really sat there and, okay, how do we do this? And we kind of broke down our offense and defense. And okay, we have pillars. What we call them, 4 pillars on each side that we answer. And when we talk with players, they're coming in. Here's what we do. If you're not a defense player, here's our 4 pillars. The offense, here's how our 4 pillars. And then it's usually not just one of us talking to them. It's usually me and Corey, or myself and Gino, or Gino and Corey, or Butch and Corey. There's multiple of us talking to a person. And it's great that you brought up Casper, because he was my first target. He was the first person I went after. I went after Casper. He should have been. I mean, because he and I started talking, and he and I aligned very, very closely in program sense and defensively. Even though most of my time I spent 22 years as an offensive coordinator on the high school side, or quarterback coach, or receiver coach, a tight end coach. He and I talked. A great guy, and JW was there when we were first part of season 8, going into season 9. So we're very close with the Charleston staff, and I look to those type of people. How do I build things? How do I go from there? And then Paulie, who's at Chicago now, tight end, has always been influential with me. And then the other person that's been huge was my first coach, was Marco Swift. Every so often, hey Marco, I need to bounce something off you. He'll respond. So I always have a soft spot for Lexington. And then Stephen George, the Forge of Denver. Great. I liked him. He helped me my first 2 years really learn how to progress. But we have 3 questions. We have pillars that we work off of, and it's a team thing. We got to focus going forward. We know exactly what we're doing the next 3 to 4 years, and we expect to be pushing towards playoffs here in the next couple of years.
I mean, I like the sound of the plan. But the biggest thing in SFL that I'll tell people all the time, as we know that Pittsburgh was coming into being an expansion franchise and getting their feet wet and trying to fill a roster. Now it's going into season 2 is now who's going to be the people that sell this team, I mean this franchise, as you say, to free agents, making guys say, "Hey, I don't want to be anymore. I want to go play in Pittsburgh." What's the process you guys are taking without giving away too much?
Well, obviously the pillars are huge. We have the talks. I mean, we've already got 7 lined up, and I'm pushing to 10 right now for free agents. I don't mess around. I'm very aggressive. I started early. I'll start week 12. Hey, my friends that I know from SFLM, I know are dissatisfied because I pay attention to the Discord. I may not participate in like the general chat, but I pay attention to who's not doing well. And if they fit the mold and what we're looking for, we do well. I look for very specific people, certain traits, whether they have a skill in building players, whether they have a skill in game plans, whether they have a very specific a build for a position. I mean, we spent this offseason, Corey and I and Gino, really focused the last part of this season. Okay, what's it going to look like to play River Hog football? What do it look like? I mean, how do we do this? And that's where the pillars came from. And I understand the pillars have an underlying philosophy on both sides as well. I'll just give you an idea. Defensively, it's 6 seconds of hell next year. You snap the ball, you better understand we are attacking you for 6 seconds. Tell me what
you sound like a coach more than a GM, but I like that, man. I like that.
You have to have that underlying philosophy. And I work very hard at doing this and understanding. I'm the one that sells a lot of it. Corey does as well. He and I, you know us, we're in there. You posted my last recruitment thing. I'm trying to find any way to be innovative. No, I don't have time to sit down and play videos or have money to have somebody on Fiverr build all this stuff for me. But I'm going to be straightforward. You're going to work hard. You better be hard nosed and understand it's a grind. This is a long season.
It is.
It's a long season. I understand that people, it's really easy. Oh wow, I can't afford $6 or $8 a month. No, pay for a freaking year up front. Commit. And that's who we got. And the players we have coming in that we know of already, that we're already locked in on 6 or 7 of them right now. They're committed.
That's how you
build.
start. That's how you start winning a winning culture. Winning football games in this league is a touch different than in real life, but that's how you build a winning culture. You got to be aggressive. You got to go. You got to at least attempt to go make the plays you want to make. You want to go get the coaches you want to get. You want to go get the GMs and the extra help you need, the scouts, the guys that want to scout, the guys that want to do communicate, things to make your brand look attractive, whether it's winning, visually, anything that makes it look like, hey, this is the place to be. You got to once you set that aggressiveness in mind and how you want to attack things, it'll make life a lot easier on you in the long run. When the winning starts, it gets way easier from there.
Exactly. And part of what we've done, it's funny, is I'll put it out there and Corey's like, hey, pull it back. There's a structure that we're going to be putting in over the next couple of years as we get people and get them committed, like you said, into scouting and stuff. One man can't do everything. It's tough, or even two. And you guys have coached and been GMs, you understand that. You can't just do everything. I mean, I sit there and it's like, I watch the games with the sound off. No offense to the announcers. Love it. I did announcing for high school football for 3 or 4 years for the local radio station. I get it. It's hard work. But at the same time, I need to be able to watch a football game. And I'll watch our game literally 2 or 3 times self-scouting. And then I go watch the opponent and give you an idea. Walking into Queen City, and nothing against them at all. I mean, they've reached out to me to be a free agent. In fact, they reached out to me before I was going to get drafted, then the free agent. I'm like, you know what? No, it doesn't matter. I didn't really have a feel for them. But you have to look at the things, at Queen City, I have 3 years of spreadsheet data on them. I knew what they were going to do before they did it.
Mm.
And what do you think I tell my coaches? Here is what they're going to do. And they did it, and they figured it out. Same thing with Baltimore. I knew had 2 years of data. I watched that much video on top of it. Right now, no offense to the playoffs, I'm watching them, but my focus is on SFLM second season because I got to look at who I'm drafting. We're going to be pick 2 or 3, whatever it is. Top 4 pick. I got to know who I'm going to bring in, and then I'm having to vet them now to figure out, are they going to fit what we want? I just don't want numbers on a page. I want a person that walks into my locker room, which is extremely active, by the way. I want them to fit in my culture. I know what it is, and if they don't fit, my job as GM is to churn the roster every year. The bottom people, if you don't fit, I don't care how good you are, you're gone.
My God.
I'm bringing in somebody that fits my culture. And to use probably the most modern example would be the Harbaugh brothers. Whether you like Baltimore or the Chargers or not, they have a way of doing things. Kirby Smart, Nick Saban have a way of doing things. I'm from Oregon. There was Mike Bellotti. Then it was Cristobal. It was Chip Kelly. Now it's Dan Lanning. There's a way of doing things, and here's the culture. It is the River Hogs versus them. That's how we approach the week. I don't care who them is. We approach it that way.
Hey, you got to win at all costs, or put yourself in position to win at all costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say this, just chiming in here. I mean, first off, Keith, I'm seriously impressed, man.
I am
Like,
too,
I mean,
bro.
you
have no idea.
We kind of talked in DMs a little bit, just when you were pitching me, but like, I mean, in all honesty, like, dude, I mean, now I can see why Corey got you, right? I can see why he's got
fits
you
with
in here
them.
to help.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're a free agent right now, I mean,
And you're
I'm not
listening,
trying to. I'm not trying to help you. I'm not.
And you listen to this Brock and to this
Yeah.
podcast.
you considering it at this point.
You
You're
called him
considering it.
Pittsburgh.
I'm serious. Like, I got to tell you, I'm impressed with what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love the attitude. I mean, when I first got into this league back in 2013, I mean, I was a GM as well, and so one of the things you got to be able to build up is that culture, right? And you nailed it perfectly on the head. Talking about how you're not looking at just numbers on a page. You're wanting to bring in guys that fit that attitude, because when you get a great culture, as both these guys that are on here with me, when you get a great culture, like that can, even if you're losing, that can cure a lot of things, right? Because in a lot of free agents that I've talked to in my time, I mean, because I've talked to a bunch of free agents, I've talked to a ton of draft, so have these two. And I can tell you that a lot of guys are just looking for a place to chill, right? Looking for a place that is just family.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you guys are preaching over here in Pittsburgh, is just bringing in that culture and having that family. So props to you, my man. I mean, I gotta give you all the credit, and I'm gonna like probably text Corey and be like, dude, bravo, because
bravo,
Right.
for real.
like fantastic. Just wanted to throw that out there.
But guys like Keith are the guys that hold your franchise up.
Exactly.
We may
Yes.
these are the guys that hold your franchise.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Agreed.
as long as he keeps that attitude, and like what I will suggest as a GM that has done everything that can be done at this point, I've gotten the big name free agents. I've gotten the diamond in the rough guys that want to work. Sometimes put yourself out there a little bit. Step out into the gen chats and I know it could be a lot and people do a lot of things, but step out there a little. Let people know that you're there sometimes, because that'll make them like, oh man, he's a decent dude. Maybe I need to come over here and see what they're talking about in Pittsburgh. Once you do that, and once you get to, because the more even the little tidbits you talk or leave for people, guess what you're also doing? You're seeing certain characteristics from certain people.
Yep.
Like I say all the time, you can build the player, you can't build the person.
Right.
Exactly.
Correct.
And you find that person that fits what you're looking for. It'll do the work for you. But I I am 100% in love with what you brought to the table today, and I'm sure it's going to help Corey and that coaching staff an abundance moving forward. As long as you can get the pieces in there to run your things the way you need to run, you shouldn't have much of a problem. In my opinion.
And I appreciate that coming from you guys. I mean, it's like you and I were talking beforehand on Discord. It's like I know your name, but I wasn't in the league when you were playing, so I know who you are, BJ. And like I said, there's certain people I look at and I watch. One of the things I always Corey says, "Hey, no, we're talking to this guy." No, I'm like, "Hey, I'll focus on these guys. You focus on these positions. Gino, you work on those positions." But everything I tell the other guys is, and you can ask any of the free agents once we announce who they are. You can go back to them, and one of the words they say is, "No, you go talk to everybody else. You talk to me last."
Yep.
And you talk to me, and you talk to me last. I guarantee you're not going to anybody else. And there's people now that are like, "Yeah, I'm committed." I'm like, "How committed are you?" And they're like, "Well," and as soon as they say, "Well," I'm like, "Hey, you know what? You talk to them. When you're done, you come talk to me."
Exactly.
He sound like me.
You
Yeah.
What are you?
you talk to me. I'm gonna tell you exactly what. Here's our culture. Yeah, we were 2-10. We should have beat Baltimore. I don't know what happened to us with Albuquerque. We were prepped for them, and all of a sudden, like everything with the RNG just went to hell.
Mm.
You know, it was not good. Same with Arizona. We knew what was going on. We had the game plan in place. It just we didn't have the horses yet. We're going to have the horses. It's going to take a couple of years. And I tell guys, understand. Give me 2 to 3 years of your time. I know we can only do 1-year contracts, but give me 2 to 3 years. I guarantee you, we're making the builds, we're looking at the top teams, and we're going to be building to be able to play with them and eventually, hopefully, beat them.
Yeah.
Because you look at the top, I'll tell you right now, Baltimore and Canton and Florida have a leg up on everybody because of one attribute. You go look at the portal, you go figure it out. You know exactly
We
what
already know
I'm
what you're
talking
talking
about.
about.
We heard about it.
Everybody in this league knows what this attribute is. But you
Yeah.
look at them, they're 70 and 75s across the board.
Across the board.
Yep.
How do you beat that? I don't care. You can walk out there and you can be Appalachian State at Michigan, and unless you have that magic on your side, you're not beating them. You don't overcome that attribute very easily, especially with a well-coached and very solid and veteran staff. We're going to get there. We're building it. My whole focus is everybody's going to have a thing. We're going to have things splitting out. There's so many things, but like I said, you talk to me last.
Yeah.
I want to hear what they're saying. I'll tell you if it's bullshit or not.
And I gotta say, that's probably the best way to look at it too. I mean, and BJ gave advice, and I can give advice on my own as well. So like, it's like I've told Robert Cherry. I mean, you're aggressive. I could tell, which I love. Right? You as a GM, you have to be aggressive, and go after those big fish. Right? Because what's the worst they could tell you is no.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
But you never know, right? You may just have that right bait out there for just a big name free agent. Trust me, all three of us in this room have been able to grab in big free agents.
Oh, you better believe it.
And so, and Eddie calls me the used car salesman, right? Because of the fact that that's what it takes, right? You sell the culture, you sell what you've got. And the other piece of this too, and I know we got a draft coming up, and I know that you're probably doing your due diligence. Even if you're not recruiting that position, talk to those active free agents.
Oh, I
Talk to those
definitely am.
active prospects, because I can tell you, down the road,
They're gonna remember that.
that can happen. Because
Yep.
I can give you a prime example. In Indianapolis, we had Hadrian Marlowe, who's on the offensive line, and we talked to him. We were thinking about taking him, and then Sioux Falls cut up ahead of us and traded him. And we kept that conversation. And he didn't like Sioux Falls, and he said, "Hey, look, you talked to me in the beginning. I want to come to Indy," and we made it happen. So just keep that in mind. Like, and you're already doing it, which is fantastic. And it's like looking in the mirror, just a great GM to another. So
and hearing that from you guys, that's good. It means I'm on the right path. But like I said, like I told Corey, as soon as the free agency's done and draft's done, I'm focusing on next year. I don't care what happens in season.
As you should.
I got to build for the next season, and I got to start evaluating. Okay, who do we keep? Who do we don't? I told my guys, you're here for 2 to 3 years. And I expect them to do this. Here's the I put out the progressions every week. I expect it to be done. You don't do, I get it. You're a human being, but understand it's a two-way street. Don't come asking for us for money for help for a build if you're not willing to put the work in. It's very straightforward.
Yep.
It's a business decision. No offense to guys, because I love the guys we got coming in. They're already kind of integrating themselves into us as an organization on the front end, and it's great. I mean, we're going to have some people, and some of you guys go, "Damn, how'd you get him?" But that's the thing is that, and to kind of go back to the idea you mentioned, the big fish. I get the big fish, but I'm going to use a soccer analogy. You guys know who Ronaldo is?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, every team Ronaldo's ever gone to, when he got to that team, the team has plummeted in the standings. He has done well. His teams have dropped.
Because he's the face. He makes the decisions.
He's not a team player. It's about him. And I understand that. I mean, I got some great guys. Bailey O'Shaughnessy is probably one of my favorite people. Period. Just a great guy. I loved the Denver crew I was with. I mean, a lot of respect for Jeremy and Stefan and everybody there when I was there. All those guys, R.E. Mills. I learned how to be in an active locker room pretty quick and how an organization runs. But Bailey was always, hey, we got this. It wasn't just blowing smoke. It was, hey, here's how we as a group outside of the coaches can make this team better. And that's literally what I'm bringing across, this stuff I learned from Bailey.
That's what's up.
So Bailey to Pittsburgh is what you're saying next season.
I would love that, but I don't think Mr. Churchill's going to like that or be able to. No offense, those are that's my thunder and lightning right there. And then with me, I'm moving from tight end to fullback to accommodate people coming in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be like a steroid version of Lorenzo Neal that can catch the ball. So just be ready.
So
if fullbacks will be a weapon again. It won't be hashtag throw the tight end, be hashtag throw the fullback.
So I'll say this really quick before we let you go, Keith. In my notes prior to the show, this is exactly what I said. Because me and you don't have, before today, we didn't have much of a speaking relationship. But in my notes for the show, I said, can he do more than the last guy did? This is a win automatically for Pittsburgh if he can do more than sign on a dotted line. And after speaking with you today, it's 10,000% a win because guess what? You're introducing aggressiveness and anything other than just a placeholder in Pittsburgh. And it looks like they're getting the right people in the right positions to make a jump from season 1 to season 2.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, and I appreciate the kind accolades. Not to cut you off, but it's like part of the philosophy I've always had is past performance does not indicate future results. So
correct.
Don't look at last year now because that's not going to be us ever again. It's just like a river going past you. It's never the same water. Same idea. We're going to get better. We're learning. We're paying attention to what people are doing. We're seeing how builds are done. I'm bringing in experts in certain things, guys that run sims. I got guys that do their research, understand, and go, hey, here's how we play, how I play as a player. And Gino and Corey are good about fitting that in. And I'm very appreciative of both of them giving me the shot. Plus, and Butch is funny. He just pops in all of a sudden. He's like, great accolades, and then he's like gone because of his work. But I mean, Corey and Butch are probably the two best ones I've got to go warm this under because they let me kind of develop and build the Pittsburgh brand for them.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Keith. Glad to have you on, and even happier to be able to listen to your philosophies and things going forward for Pittsburgh. And I think that you guys are moving definitely 100% in the right direction. You can stick around. We're gonna have some more questions for us and the crew. If you want to chime in, you can chime in. We're gonna keep moving with some of these coaching and front office hires. And thanks again.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys having me on. I'll be hanging out here. Probably won't be on video, but I'll definitely be popping in once in a while.
For sure.
For sure.
I
Appreciate you.